Okay, Lauren, so in the last video we talked about how important it was to continue with verbal communication with somebody with dementia, how important that was. But you also mentioned that there was a lot more to communicating with somebody than just the verbal communication. So how do we communicate with a person who's essentially nonverbal at this point?
Okay, so as the disease progresses with Alzheimer's, at some point they are going to become nonverbal.
Right.
Okay. They're going to communicate through behaviors, gestures, facial expressions, maybe even tone of voice, you know, of the words that they are saying, even if the words don't make sense. So we need to be very, very observant about these components of communication, and we may have to be a little bit of a detective to figure out what they're trying to communicate to us, what they're trying to say. It's still very, very important that we communicate verbally, though, especially when we're providing tasks of care.
Okay.
Okay, so the caregiver needs to speak in a very calm, soothing tone of voice, and telling the person step by step what they're doing or about to do.
Okay.
It shows respect for them,
right? Because
they're still cognizant. On the flip side of the coin, somebody with dementia is very, very observant about our body posture, our facial expressions, our tone of voice.
So they realize when we're getting frustrated?
Absolutely. If we come in worried about something, they're going to think there's something to be worried about. They are going to reflect the emotions that we bring them. So it's very, very important that we demonstrate the emotions that we want them to feel.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question, Mike. How would you define communication?
Two people, that's a good question. Two people conveying an idea between themselves.
Exactly. Okay. The interesting fact is that research has shown that 30% of communication is verbal.
Okay.
Only 30% is the words that we say. 70% is what I was talking about, the body language, the gestures, the facial expressions, tone of voice. So let me illustrate this, and I do this in the dementia class that I do with our caregivers. Okay. Mike, how you doing today?
I'm really well. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you. Mike, how you doing today?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
Okay. I said the exact same words, didn't I?
Yes.
How was your response on the first one?
Oh, it was a lot more happy. It seemed way more inviting. You stretched out your hand and it was like, oh, we're friends, and made me feel comfortable.
Okay. What did this convey to you?
It made me feel like you didn't like me and were trying to get away from me.
Okay. So exact same words, but my body language, my tone of voice, my facial expressions made you interpret those words very differently, didn't they? Okay. So when we think about somebody with dementia and they're so in tune to that, hyper in tune, because I no longer can comprehend what you're saying, so I have to understand by the way you're acting.
Interesting.
So we need to be really cognizant of that. So I train our caregivers. I do the dementia training with them, about 10 to 12 hours. And in that training, I always give them a 12 tips and techniques card that they can put in their wallet.
Oh, great.
And it's something that they can refer to if they get stuck, and are having difficulty. The first 3 tips are vital for us to use in any interaction, every interaction throughout the day with somebody with dementia. In fact, it'll help us in all relationships.
So now we all need to know what these tips are. You're going to give those tips to us, right?
Yes, I am. We don't have time in this video, so we'll do it in the next one.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you.